Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but it better not be good night. Here we are again with HFLE for all of we. This is an initiative of the Barbados Association of Guidance Counsellors. And because of that, we have got one of our ACE guidance counselors with us today, and she is
Patricia Welch.
Patricia Welch. But you know, as guidance counselors, thank you, Pat, we also have guests that will come into our classrooms every now and then and speak to our students on different topics. Today is no different for our HFLE class. We have with us today Mr. Troy Holder. He's an empowerment coach, and he has gone to several schools talking to students about different issues. Today, he is gracing us with his presence, and he'll be talking with us about time management. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you, Donna. It's really good to be here.
Great to have you. Now, I know that when we were talking before, we were looking at different ways that word time is being used. And we've got all these different little cliches. Time flies, time waits for no man. We talk about the passage of time. But with all of these different things, time is a force to be reckoned with. And if we're not careful, we can never get back the time that we have lost or the time that we have wasted. So that we don't lose any time and so that we don't waste any time, we're going to let Troy here give us some tips and discussions about how we can use the time that we have and, you know, get the most out of the time that has been given to us. Troy?
Thank you so much, Donna. So good to be here again. It's always a welcome opportunity to speak to young persons and their parents especially. As it relates to time management, the first thing that we need to remember and to understand is that we cannot manage time. We can only manage ourselves. Therefore, what we do with the time that's allotted to us is entirely up to us. But once it is gone, it is gone. A key thing that every student and parent needs to remember in this season is that they need to have timetables for themselves, not just for schoolwork, but you need to have a daily timetable that spells out exactly what you're going to be doing at a particular time. That is one of the keys to increasing productivity.
Excuse me, Troy? Can I ask why we need a personal timetable?
If you don't have a personal timetable, then you can find yourself in a position where the amount of time that is wasted increase. So you want to be able to know exactly what you have to do at a given time of a day so that you develop some habits and develop good habits, because it becomes a lot easier once it's a habit.
And Troy, I want to ask, you're saying parents as well. So the timetable that the student has, the parent is supposed to know this timetable, be aware of what is happening with the child throughout the day. That's what you're saying?
Very much so. The parent's responsibility is to help guide the child. So they should not be the ones who's creating the timetable, but they should guide their child or their ward in the creation of this timetable. And they themselves should have their own timetable, because then they are able to allocate their time resource in a more effective way. If all of us have a timetable, what do we want to call it, a schedule, it's going to mean that we are going to be more productive at the end of the day. We're going to be healthier, we're going to achieve more, and our homes are going to be more harmonious.
Okay, now that is for a lot of the work, especially productivity and all of that. Now, I too am a parent as well as guidance counselor, and I have a son who thinks that now is the time to sleep in a bit later, and he's on a completely different schedule than what he was when he was going to school. Also, he's on a completely different schedule to what he would do when he was on vacation. And one of the things that keeps coming up is that we really didn't have a vacation. So how can we address that? Because all the things that we knew as our markers for time, the end of the school term, marked by, say, sports, the end of the vacation, marked by making sure that your school uniform is ready to go back into school the following week. All that is gone. So how do we set our time parameters now that everything that we knew as time before, the markers, now that's all changed?
There's a beautiful thing about life. I mean, life is going to be ever changing. Whether it's this particular situation or another situation in your life, whether it's by changes in your family, there are always going to be changes. And what is really required is that you have new markers to help you with your time management. So school being out, children being on vacation, the family being on vacation, parents being home, you still need to have your markers. And those shifts are going to help you, because the ultimate goal here is to know, what do I want to achieve at the end of the day? And I mean that literally. At the end of each day, what do you want to achieve? What I normally invite and encourage persons to do is to set some goals and some targets for yourself. And this can take us into another area, but I like to divide my life into 4 interrelated areas, and I have targets for each of those areas. So I know on a daily basis, there are tasks that need to be completed in order to allow me to be able to reach those goals. And it doesn't change regardless of age, regardless of situation. Tasks have to be done. The time spent on the task may differ, but tasks have to be done daily to achieve. That is the power, that is the benefit of being able to use your time wisely to get to that destination. So if you have a goal, if you have dreams, then you need to know there are some things that you need to do in order to make your time more effective.
So what are those 4 areas? You're not going to ask.
Right.
You're not going to ask.
So the 4 interrelated areas that I use my time in daily are: 1, the spiritual, because that's obviously going to deal with who I am as an individual. That's going to direct how I behave. So I need to spend time developing my spiritual sense so I am better able to fulfill my purpose. I need to spend time, secondly, on my personal self. This is my me time. And this is where we're spending time on dealing with things relating to me. So whether it's reading, exercising, doing something that I like as a hobby, I need to have that time. I need to have also the professional time. In your case, as a student, you need to have your study time. Time where you are studying beyond just being in the classroom online, but the time that you're going to take to study the areas that are really, really critical to you. And then there is the physical area. This is the time that relates to my outer body, whether it's going to be meditating, whether it's going to be taking a walk, spending quality time with my friends and family. These are the areas on an average day that I need to allocate time for each of these, because if I don't allocate time, if you do not allocate time, these areas of your life are going to suffer.
Now, Troy, again, Pat, if you have some concerns or questions, feel free. But
yes,
again, because I got a teenager at home, I got to ask some questions. And not only for my teenager, but for all you other parents out there who have teenagers, especially boys, I want to know something, Troy. Between the personal time and the physical time, where does bathing fit in?
Well, obviously, bathing is going to be personal. I need to take care of this body. So a bath is because I have to take care of this body. It has to be cleaned. And I'm married, so if I want to my wife to snug up underneath me, then I have to be clean. If I want my sons to be around me,
no social distancing.
So thankfully for social distancing, it's not required for persons who live in the same house.
I just pull your leg. Yes. Now, in terms of the spiritual, a lot of people don't understand the difference between being spiritual and being religious. And sometimes, I just want to make this little point, sometimes being spiritual means the ability not only to worship a higher being, but to take some time to appreciate what nature has to offer. So sometimes that spiritual aspect may also be early on in the morning when the sun is rising, or in the evening when the sun is setting, and just taking that time by yourself to just be silent, be still in that moment, and just look at everything that's happening around you. Hear the birds, hear the monkeys, hear the dogs barking, See how far away you can actually hear something. That is also a part of that spiritual, meditative type of time. And just take that time to be still. And in those still times, you can actually hear. You can actually hear. If you listen, you can hear things. And sometimes that's also a good time if you are having a problem that you need to solve, whether it is an academic problem or something with friends or family. Sometimes just being in that space by yourself where you have no distractions and you're just hearing nature, that too is a very, very good time with yourself to reflect so that you can hear a solution. What do you think about that one? Is that
Donna,
one okay?
Donna, what I wanted to say too, I really love those 4 ideas, those 4 points that Troy shared with us. And I am hoping that our children will listen and that they would note the 4 points. I believe that Troy will list them again so that the students can write them. And you know, you talk about the spiritual, and I was talking with some of my colleagues and talking with some persons just recently, and I was telling them that we need to appreciate nature. I was sharing with them too on mornings when I wake up, and students, you can do this on mornings when you wake up, or try a morning, because sometimes I know I don't have the small ones who are still at school. My children are in their 20s, they're all grown. But I was sharing that when I wake up on mornings, I sometimes just lie down or sit and I listen to the birds. I listen to the wind blowing through the trees. Sometimes I get up and I take some deep breaths, you know, just through my window. And I look at the wires, you know, on the poles, how they sway and so on. The dogs barking, I can hear the sheep. There's so many noises and they combine, you know, to give such an awesome experience that I believe that more of us should enjoy what God has given to us, nature, the spiritual aspect of what God has created. And to add to that too as well, I was wondering, Troy, maybe you can address this. Some persons I know and some of the children might not want to pray themselves, but they might be able to do something in terms of keeping in contact with that spirituality. I don't know what are some of the recommendations that you can give so that that spiritual element can be a part of their everyday experience. What do you think?
One of the things that I would say to any individual, whether they are a child or an adult, is thoughts become things. What you think will determine how you behave. So spend some time with your own thoughts. You know, start to investigate some of the thoughts that you have. Why do you think of this? I mean, why do you think about that? I mean, why this happens? Why is this? And as you are thinking of these things, what is going to happen is it's going to cause you to want to explore. And as you explore, you're going to have your personal relationship. And as you search for that personal relationship, you start to identify why you're here. What is your purpose? And these will propel you to use your time more effectively, because as you recognize your purpose, you recognize that the areas of your life that have to be developed, and in order for them to be developed, you have to spend time studying, reading, listening, exploring. So you don't have a different perspective on school. So you recognize that school is not just about certification, but it's really about learning so that you can become a more productive citizen and you can truly fulfill your purpose for being here. That is why I say that there are 4 interrelated areas, because they come together to help you to do what you were created to do. Because each of us, regardless of how small, regardless of our parents, our background, our social economic standing, or a level of intelligence, each of us have a purpose. Discovering your purpose and fulfilling your purpose will bring you total joy and satisfaction.
Great. And one last thing I want us to address is the feeling sometimes that we have when we are running out of time. And I do mean it figuratively and literally. I know that before the whole pandemic situation, a lot of you and a lot of us were just racing, 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 racing to meet deadlines, racing to meet all different things for everybody else. And many, many, many times we felt that we were running out of time. Troy, how do you address that whole feeling, whether it's a feeling or whether if it's actual, about running out of time?
Right. That happens, if you've ever heard the acronym FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out. That is why people feel as though they're running out of time, because they believe that if I don't participate in a particular task, if I don't accomplish such, then I am a failure. And unfortunately, some of the persons who ought to be supporting us are the ones who are behind us feeling as though we are failure because we have not accomplished a particular task. If we're really honest, right, 80% of the things that we do on a daily basis are not that critical. There are only 20% of things that must be done. So this, how much I would want to share with you is there are many individuals who make to-do lists, long lists of things they need to do, 10, 20, 30 things. And at the end of the day, they've only accomplished 3, 4, or 5. And they feel as though they have lost. They feel as though they are a failure. What I would encourage you to do is to make a list of must-do things, must-do tasks, tasks that absolutely must be done today. And in most cases, I encourage you not to take it over 3. 1 to 3 things that you absolutely must do today. You do that. At the end of the day, you've accomplished all 3, and you feel successful, you have achieved, and you are now encouraged to go forward the next day to create your next must-do list. This is what is required. So we never feel as though we're running out. We never feel as though we are running around with it. We never feel as though all is lost. And the final thing I want to say to you is this. There are times you have to say no to some tasks so that you can say yes to those which are critical.
I love that. I love that. Did y'all hear that, students? There are times you have to say no to some, I'm not going to put it in quotations, tasks, so that you can say yes to the tasks that are critical.
Yes.
So something like that, Pat, would be if you've got a class and your friends want to play video game, which one is more important?
Yes.
Some
Class,
people-
of course, your class.
Yeah. We say that. Some people may say it depends on the game.
Yes. Fortnite is all over.
Oh, yeah. But the bottom line, though, students and parents, is this. Time is really and truly in your hands. You need to be able to manage the time. I know that Troy originally said
Manage
you
yourself.
can't manage time, you have to manage yourself.
Yes.
Well, time is one of those other things about yourself and within yourself that the only one that's got control over it is you. He's given us some very interesting tips on how we can put time in different categories, time for you in different categories. And I'll list them again, just in case you were trying to take notes. Spiritual, time for your spirituality. Time for you to do personal things. Time for you to do professional things and study. And time for you to do the physical things that really and truly will help the rest of us smell better. I love my jokes. But the thing is this. At the end of the day, we only have 24 hours in it. How are you going to spend yours? Are you going to spend the majority of your 24 hours playing? You're going to spend the majority of your 24 hours sleeping, eating, making lists that other people will have you to do on their behalf, or making, as Troy said, shorter lists of some critical things that you need to get done, so that at the end of your day, you're able to say, it was a good day.
Good day.
I spent my time well, right? So
Do it.
at this point, I'm going to issue you a challenge, and I challenge you to create, and this is one of those things that we can actually put online again, all right? Create a time poster that is just for you. In your time poster, you can put in all the things that you need to do, all the things you would like to do, and the things that you know that if you had the time, extra time, you could address that. And prioritize so that you can see. Prioritize means put the most important things at the top and the least important things on the bottom. But put you in the center and see what happens. Then you can send it to us. We actually now have, apart from your school counselor, we also have an address, an email address, where you can send these different things to. And I do believe it is bagc@gmail.com. bagc@gmail.com. But first, send it to your guidance counselor in your chat. So we have all of those and we can see how well you are navigating this area on time management.
Yes.
Okay. Any last words, Pat, Troy? You got 10 seconds.
I am really getting curious because I was thinking that, students may say, Troy, that you have identified these 4 critical or crucial areas and they harmonize and combine to make us, the best person that we can be. And I was wondering what percentage weight each carry, but that's another section. So students, just utilize yourself in the time that is allocated. And I'm sure that we're going to see very successful students as we get ready to return to school.
Yes. Troy?
All I would say to you is remember this. What get measures, get done. Allocate time, and you'll be amazed at the result.
And for me, this is the end of our time on a very consuming program on time management. And once again, we'd like to tell you thank you for joining us. And remember that HFLE is for all of we. Take care, stay safe. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.